The Attorney General, Richard Blumenthal, joining us now from Connecticut Democratic headquarters in Hartford to talk about this decision today. And Mr. Attorney General, thank you, first of all, for the time. And I wondered if I could ask you, first of all, about Senator Dodd's decision to step down. How surprised were you by this decision, and what sort of advance notice did you get?
I supported Senator Dodd right to the point that he decided on his own that he would not be a candidate for re-election. And I really learned of his decision only within the past 24, 48 hours. But it certainly is a very courageous decision. He did it with grace and dignity in a statement that I found profoundly moving and even inspiring. And he leaves a legacy of tremendous accomplishment. So I think I want to thank him, and I know that others are all around Connecticut are grateful to him for a remarkable and unprecedented career of public service.
One more quick question on Senator Dodd. What is it, do you think, that presented the political reality to Senator Dodd there in Connecticut? What's changed for him in the state of Connecticut, and how do you factor that into your own campaign as you move forward?
I think that Senator Dodd made his decision based on the considerations that he articulated so eloquently, some of them having to do with family and with the losses that he suffered over the past year, the death of Teddy Kennedy, his great friend, and of his beloved sister, his own bout with cancer, personal factors that no doubt weighed on his decision, and his family. He has two very young, beautiful children, and I have 4 of my own, and I have postponed some of my ambitions so that I could really serve as a good parent. So I'm very sympathetic to the reasons that he gave, and I'm resolved to be a good parent, even as a candidate. My children are somewhat older. I have 4 who are 23, 20, 17, and 15, but being a good parent continues to be a challenge. And reaching out and listening to people all around the state of Connecticut.
Let me ask you about your decision now to try and replace Senator Dodd. We know there are 2 Republicans already in the race. And do you think you become the front runner? Certainly your poll numbers in Connecticut have been strong for a long time, and a lot of people are putting you in the front runner position.
In every campaign, and 5 of them statewide, I have always worked like I am an underdog. And that's how I'm going to conduct this campaign. And I will work tirelessly to earn support from people in Connecticut. And I will be paying less attention to the poll numbers than to listening to people and fighting for them. I'm going to fight for them as tenaciously and tirelessly as I've done as Attorney General.
As our viewers know, and certainly you've been on our air many times talking about various industries, various legal fights that you've taken on as Attorney General, is that the same kind of approach that you would take to the U.S. Senate? You've challenged drug makers, you've challenged banks, you've challenged the tobacco industry. Is that what we could expect from a Senator, Richard Blumenthal?
I've never walked away from a fight. Voters know that I have never abandoned a cause that I think is right. And they also know that I have never failed to put them first. And some of the foes have been powerful, but I have always done what I think is the right thing, and that has meant fights against some of the pharmaceutical drug companies where we have won lawsuits, against some of the polluters where we have won in court, against other special interests, against insurance companies sometimes, even in Connecticut where insurance companies are a major force. But I believe that a senator and Attorney General have an obligation, especially at this point in our history, to help revive the economy and bring more jobs to Connecticut and our nation. And that is likely to be my #1 priority as I go into this campaign.
Mr. Attorney General, there might be some corporate interests out there who would say, might be celebrating tonight your decision to try and join this Senate race. You'll be less a thorn in their side now that you might be leaving your role as Attorney General.
I don't know whether I should be flattered or insulted by that suggestion, but I would just say that I'm going to keep fighting for the people of Connecticut. I'm going to be as tireless and steadfast as I've been before. I've always stood strong against scams, and I want to continue to advocate for overhaul of the financial regulatory system, an issue very much on the minds of many corporations. And I want to help corporations, as I have done as Attorney General when I thought they were on the right side, and some of the small businesses that desperately need help in this state. So as the state's chief lawyer, as well as the United States Senator, hopefully, I would be an advocate for economic recovery and revival and more jobs.
Are you satisfied as you watch from a distance what's playing out in Washington? I know you've testified on the Hill with regard to financial regulatory reform, that what's moving through the House and what's developing in the Senate goes far enough?
We need to make sure that reform is real. And I have strong views, as you know, on some of the measures before Congress. I think both Representative Frank and Senator Dodd will continue to play a role in financial regulatory reform, and I'm going to be spelling out some of my ideas, elaborating on the positions I've taken. I've testified before Senator Dodd's committee in favor of the Consumer Finance Protection Agency, supported by the President as well, and I continue to support that kind of reform. We need to make this system more transparent and accountable. For years, I have urged that hedge funds, for example, were in a regulatory black hole, as I've called it. And now the world, at least a good part of the world, seems to be coming around to the point of view that we need to make that world more transparent and accountable, not just for hedge funds, but for many of the now very opaque markets that exist.
Mr. Attorney General, one final question, if I could. You made this decision to join this race now at a time when there are Democrats. In addition to Senator Dodd, we had Senator Dorgan announcing he's going to be stepping down, Governor Ritter out in Colorado. Do you worry that you are stepping into an anti-Democrat wave that may be emerging in 2010?
I know that this campaign will be very demanding and challenging, and I'm ready for the fight.
All right. And Mr. Attorney General, listen, we appreciate your time very much for joining us here on Bloomberg. We'll, of course, be following this campaign very closely. And again, we appreciate it. Best of luck to you.